Looking into vampires as a Christian, which is it's typically seen, especially in fundamentalist circles, as being an embrace of evil. I remember a church member saw me reading Dracula on the couch, and he said, "Oh, you shouldn't be reading that kind of stuff." And she said, "We don't talk about that kind of thing because it's similar to the kind of English concept of if you speak of the devil, he'll appear." One of the most common things you get asked as a vampirologist is, do you believe in vampires? My personal opinion is it depends on what you define a vampire as. The vampire is typically a monster, a kind of shadow in the background, like I think, what was his name? F. Paul Wilson described it as like getting mugged in an alley. A vampirologist is someone who takes an academic interest in vampires, and they're not just a fan, they're someone who applies some kind of academic discipline or existing knowledge to the subject. So you could say it's similar to a vampire researcher, but a lot of their work is dedicated to covering the subject. Proper academic study, which is what things like the Journal of Dracula Studies has done. A subject that people didn't take very seriously. They started to draw upon the various disciplines they were studying and applying it to the vampire. Like I was saying with Paul Barber, he applied forensic pathology to the vampire myth. What we know now compared to what we know then, and he has more science to back it up. So that's a major change. My interest in this subject has branched out to starting a number of Facebook groups, and one of them is called Vampire Community. And nearly every day, without fail, we'll have members joining saying, are there any vampires here? Do vampires exist? Can you turn me into one? There is a large community of people in various communities who call themselves real vampires, or modern vampires, or human living vampires, or something like that. And they have a compulsion to feed off blood or what they perceive as psychic energy, or a mixture of the two. Now, some of them believe that they are the ones who inspired the vampire myth in the first place, that there are other people like them through history who inspired it. I dispute that purely because the vampire myth is really associated with corpses, so the dead. It was a phenomenon that occurred after. The most notable thing about current vampire literature and film is that the vampires become a lot more sympathetic. Is that it's not really you that becomes a vampire, it's basically your body. You get taken over and you're kind of cursed to wander the earth feeding off other people.